Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pantheon Dragon, and in this video we'll be going over the top 10 best junglers for solo queue as of patch 5.9. So what changed? Since patch 5.8, well, Cinderhulk got nerfed, which means frontline tanks aren't as powerful as they were before. Support tanks who don't like to get up front, Nunu, aren't really affected too much since their positioning should be around their AD carry and in between the enemy. And not really auto-attacking them and more, just like standing there just to zone off enemies. Skirmisher's Saber also did get nerfed, so tank junglers won't be going that as often as they were before. And with the Cinderhulk nerf coming in, I feel like warrior junglers will be coming out a bit more often now, since I do feel like they're pretty equal in strength right now. And with all that being said, let's get started. Alright, so first up we have Evelyn at number 10. So I feel like Evelyn used to be a Cinderhulk user since she was really good at sticking around people and burning them. But now she has to choose between Magus or Warrior enchantment. What's the best one? Well, I'm not really sure. I'm going to assume Warrior, but that's an assumption. Because I think Warrior has more sustain damage while Magus has more burst damage, so it's kind of hard to say. But yeah, I mean, she's still got her stealth, she's still pretty decent in early game, falls off late game, but I mean, she can easily, snowball the early game if she gets those early game ganks. At number 9 is going to be Pantheon. Alright, so I've always thought he was a pretty good jungler, just because, he has a semi-glow with his ultimate, so he can keep camping that bot lane or whatever and just getting kills off his ultimate, while having a lot of damage backing up his kit. I don't think the new Black Cleaver is really good on him just because they removed the armor penetration and some attack damage, which is stats that he needs. So if you're thinking that the Black Cleaver was good on him and it affected him in this patch, not really. But I mean, full AD Pantheon does seem like the best build, and then like build tanky after Last Whisper and Brutalizer and Warrior enchantment. And then carrying games should be easy peasy lemon squeezy. He does fall off late games, so you better watch out for that, and of course going in first could blow you up and you might not get your skill combo off. But yeah, since some tanks are kinda not as good as they were before, I feel like he deserves a spot in the top 10. And at number 8 we do have Rengar. So I hate Rengar mains because they know how to get kills around the map and have really high KDAs. So easily a carry jungler and really good at taking out enemy squishies. Again, Black Cleaver didn't help him because he's an assassin, not a bruiser. But personally, I do shy away from Rengar because personally I don't feel like I'm as good as other Rengar players in my ELO. I feel like they're better, and I probably have a better chance of winning with Pantheon. But basically what I'm trying to say is I don't like when there's a Rengar player on the other team because I know they're going to carry and do good. But there are ways to counter him, like getting a pink ward when you see an explanation work and putting it down to protect your AD carries or squishies. Don't go out too far alone if the Rengar is fed, then he can easily 1v1 you. And stuff like that. Like Rengar's biggest strength is getting picks onto enemies with his ultimate. I do feel that tank Rengar is still garbage, so don't play that one. Next up is going to be Lee Sin. Alright, so if you're a good Lee Sin player, play him. If you're not, don't play him, because an average Lee Sin player won't excel that well in solo queue. You gotta be a good Lee Sin player and know what you're doing. There's a reason why I don't play him, and that's because I'm fairly average in him or mediocre. And so are you good at doing all the tricks with him? Do you know which combo to use in certain situations? Do you know when to hold on to your ultimate and use it as a peeling tool instead of like a initiating tool? If yes, then play him, but again, he's a champion which requires skill. And me, I don't have skill, I just have good decision making. And the basic concept of how to play a certain champion. But there are good Lee Sin players out there, of course. And at number 6 we have Vi. So I think people were playing her Cinderhulk for a while, and now she is back to Warrior. And if I didn't mention this before, she is really good against tanks because she can max out W and get that % health damage, and also shred their armor. And she can become a carry jungler if she does get that Triforce and, bash a bunch of people's heads in. Or just trying to lock down those squishy enemies and killing them with somebody else. Someone like Ashe is definitely going to die from Vi and, I don't know, let's just say Sion, unless she has a lot of peel coming from her. And is the new Black Cleaver good on her? Sort of. I do feel like Triforce is better, but if her team is all AD, of course she can buy that and, become really more supportive for her team. Next up at number 5 is going to be Jawani. Alright, so I do have a good explanation of why she got lowered in the tier list, and it has to do with the Cinderhulk damage nerf. So basically, in team fights, her job is to use her ultimate and then, initiate and then start swinging her flail. And she's usually up in the front lines trying to burn the enemies with her Sunfire Cape and using her W and swinging that flail, right? Like, for her to be useful in teamfights, she's always got to be up front in the enemy's face. She doesn't have any poke or range spells, right? So her only way to win teamfights is all in or nothing. And with some of her damage, aka Sunfire being away, it kinda hurts her presence. This is also the same reason why Zac and Skarner aren't here anymore, because again they're more upfront tanks, rather than mid to front line tanks like Nunu. These champions like to stick to enemies and burn them with their Sunfire and other spells, especially Skarner. He gets a lot of movement speed coming from his Q and W. So that is the reasoning why she's fallen down in the tier list. It's actually pretty funny how they're nerfing her in the PvE, and I actually think she's in a good spot right now, so... well, at least compared to some champions higher in this tier list. So it's kind of weird seeing that. Even then, still being in the top 5, she's actually still really good. I still like playing her and carrying if I'm doing good with Leandries, so that's still there. Will I still prioritize her in champ select? Yes. I like playing easy tanks, so they're still good to me. Next at number 4 is going to be rek'sai. And she has actually 2 builds going on with her. There's Cinderhulk, Black Cleaver, and then there's Warrior going into Tank, which is, the old build. And I think the Cinderhulk build path is better on her. I mean, let's be honest here, all of her AD ratios have been getting shit on in the past few patches. Not this patch, like 2 patches ago or 3. And she is like Jawani, an upfront tank in your face kind of thing. But I will still say that her base damage is still really strong. She has her map mobility to get around the map, and she scales really good into the mid and late game. Her clears are still phenomenal, especially when she makes that tunnel system going on in her camps. And so yeah, if you're really good at map mobility and movement, she's really good in the right hands. And also a tip, if you are going the Cinderhulk Black Cleaver path, I don't think you should rush it if you aren't doing so hot, or if you're just doing mediocre, since you gotta be the tank for your team. And next up at number 3 is gonna be Nidalee. Didn't you get a nerf to like your health or something? Oh yeah, you did, but that doesn't really matter, since you are just gonna be throwing spears most of the time, and for the amount of health you lost, you can just heal back up with your E. Well, technically speaking, but I think you guys understand what I mean. And she is going all in on someone with Cougar form. I mean, I don't think she needs extra hit point if she decided that if there's a kill for her, and the hit point won't really make that big of a difference when deciding that factor. And also, since Cinderhulk did get nerfed, I feel like she deserves a higher spot in the tier list. And in number 2 is going to be Gragas. So, still good, still has a lot of CC. He does make pretty good use of the Cinderhulk, and the nerf coming to it, I don't think it affects him too much, because usually in teamfights, he'll use all his skills and then wait for his cooldown and try and kill the people who are on his carries or whatever. And while waiting for those cooldowns, he's probably waiting off to the side, waiting until they come back up so he can get back in there. So he's not actually burning people for, most of the team fight like said Jawani or something. Although the reason why Gragas is so good right now is because he's an early game jungler who becomes pretty decent mid game and late game as a tank. And when I say early game jungler, what I mean by that is that he has a lot of early game pressure and can pressure lanes because his ganks are so good. He also has sustain, so he doesn't have to recall as often as some other junglers. And he has really high base damage since all his spells do damage, and a lot of utility since most of his spells do have CC. And at number 1, oh you betcha, it's Nunu. Alright, so the way Cinderhulk nerf hit him didn't really hit him that much, because honestly he's more of a mid to frontline tank, as in he's going to be zoning and peeling for his carries, not auto attacking enemies and trying to burn them and stuff. So he's usually positioning himself in team fights between the enemy tanks and bruisers with his carries, so he's going to be using his ultimate to zone them. He's going to be using his E to ice blast them away. I do feel like the skirmisher saber did hurt him a bit, because I feel like that was one of his tools to do damage, but I'm not sure if it's even worth it to get that item anymore. I still have to check it out. And again, since Nunu had really good single target clears, Cinderhulk gives him AoE clears to kill the mini camps really fast, and so his clears just got way better. And I know you guys don't like me putting Nunu at number 1 because he isn't a carry jungler per se, but what he does is he makes his teammates carry him, because he just presses W on his AD carry and say, carry me, go, win the game for me. And that's what I like to do in my ELO, is I rely on my challenger AD carry or whatever to carry my ass and win the game. And if you aren't relying on your teammates like I do, then you might have some problems. But hey, 50-50, you might have a good or bad AD carry, but maybe if you want to have a strong AD carry, then camp his lane or something and make sure he kills safe or even. You eventually will win the game, since you do make him a super beast late game AD carry. Especially with you peeling for him, I don't think he's gonna die. But honestly, if you do think you're better than your teammates, there's other junglers to carry as than Nunu. And in my ELO, relatively all the AD carriers have a similar skill, so I can rely on them to do their job properly. Alright, next up is going to be some honorable mentions, and first up is going to be Hecarim. So he got buffed in the jungle this patch, and honestly, if he wasn't a good jungler already, then this is going to make him even better. And I definitely do like him in the jungle. I know that he's pretty strong when I play him, so I have a good opinion of him. But I think people are still playing him in the top lane, so maybe that's better than, jungle Hecarim at the moment right now. Next up is going to be Shaco. Again, good Shacos, play him, main Shaco, whatever, he's good. Then next up is going to be Udyr, still pretty good. Cinderhawk helps him still farm the jungle like crazy, and still pretty tanky, so yeah, relatively good still. Hey y'all, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy this video, check out Marksman 5.9, top 5 best mid laners for 5.8, and then 5.9 supports. Wow, my grammar is really bad, but thank you guys for watching this video. Subscribe right there to join the No Pants party, and I'll see you guys next time. Lady, we'll go out to the floor. You wanna complain about the nights alone.